Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We have a bunch of news and a lot of emails, so we'll try to get through as much as we can. We have one here from Nathan Ganut. Hi, Eli, my 10-year-old son Eli is probably your biggest chassid. He himself signed up 13 people this morning when I informed him that you were coming to Flatbush to give a shiur. 13. I don't know what that means exactly. He was as happy and excited as I have ever seen him, with jet lag, jumped out of bed. Thank you so much for all you're doing. Looking forward to seeing you and meeting you in person. Rabbi Sai, I'm going to tell you the exact address, but Be'ezer Hashem, we are going to have a shiur in New York, in Brooklyn, in Flatbush, in SLC. I'll give you the exact address. So far, you could sign up at ndysium.com. So far, 200 before, it was like an hour ago. 260 people signed up already. Let's make this an unbelievable Kiddush Hashem. 500 people, all the shy people come out there. It's going to be gewaldic. It's going to be great. Mark Steinberg in the house. Here he is, getting ready for Yom Tov, grilling and doing the daf at the same time. Shkoyach. Look at this tzaddik right over here. Great email from a Kalina Chassid. And he says like this: I was thinking about all the things that MDY's Nebuch struggle with, and just to put things into perspective, I came to this conclusion. Whatever a person does, whenever, a person does good, he's going to get bashed for it by others in the name of righteousness. Here are a few examples. You learn the daf? It's for Balabatim. You learn with the Balabas guy, magid shiur? You needed to have a real magid shiur to be Makabel Torah. You learn with an art scroll, Mesifta? You're not learning the real way. You get entertainment by a shiur? You're immature. Your shiur is what gets you to learn. You should be embarrassed that you don't learn on your own. Your shiur has a theme song. Grow up and learn Lishma. Your shiur has merch. Sounds like a cult to me. And it goes on and on. But hey, let's turn it around. Not in the name of righteousness, but actually being righteous. Here goes. When was the last time you learned on Friday or Shabbos and Yom Tov or Yom Kippur? What do you find yourself doing on a plane train or when you're waiting for the train? When you have an hour to learn, how much do you do? How much of it do you actually learn and not space out at shmooze? How many times are you too tired or too busy to learn? How many sugs and shas are you clueless about? Because it's not in the yeshiva shemesechtes. It's a koilel. It's a moisef. Do your kids see that you're excited about your learning? Ooh, it's a big one. Did you ever make a seam in your life? Could you say that I learned for the last X amount of days and X amount of dafim straight every single day? What's on your mind in a given moment? Well, we Dafers Baruch Hashem know the answer to these last questions. Now, I don't mean to knock yeshivas in any way. If anything, I must say that the only way I'm Baruch Hashem able to understand all Slaughter Gemara is thanks to yeshivas who prepare me and train me in Gemara. But a person has to be emisdik with himself and know what the right thing is to do and not waste his life because sepasnisht. Wow. It's another married and older younger man, Simcha Shmuel Solomon, who knows how it's done. Thank you, Rebelli, for waking us all up to utilize life to its fullest. Hashem should bench you and your family, the brachas, the world should have a clean and Hatzlacha, Baruch Hu Gashmias. Mazda Miyengo is psyched that you're coming to Brooklyn on Thursday night. Looking forward to meeting you in person for the first time. Wow. I thought I met him. I guess I read his other emails and he's like mishpacha. Please find attached picture of me watching the shiur while waiting for a train with a family in Chol Hamoed. Here it is. He's waiting for the train, utilizing his time wisely. Here is a picture of Rafal the barber and Yochanan Lzchus and a bunch of MDYers. And he says like this: you mentioned the other day that you're worried about Rafal the barber. What is he going to do recruit during the sphere? He doesn't give haircuts. Last night he called me that he was almost out of Gemaras. He was going through Queens and stopping at various pizza stores. The guy is on. You hear this, Aaron? You know how many guys this barber recruited to MDY? About a month ago it was 160. One guy, one barber, everybody that sits down in his shop. So now that he's not giving things, he's running around to pizza shops, bringing people in. Rabbi side here in Chicago. You guys, just bring one person. One person. Let's make this happen. He showed up this morning with my grandson's bris, Mazel Tov Yochanan, with his poster and his last two Gemaras. Among the people that he signed up this morning were two of my uncles. So Mazel Tov to my wife on the birth of our first day, Nicole. Wow. Mazel Tov to the parents, Morty and Rachi Kaufman, Rachi, And to the Mechtanim, Rabbi Moshe Yakov Cabin from Passaic, New Jersey, Lzchus. Eddie Balin. The below picture is Shlomo Bauman, ER nurse, was taken by K29. See, I mentioned yesterday that all the guys were out of it, and here it goes. K29, Shmuel Langsman at NYU Hospital in Brooklyn. Hashtag keep on daffin. Shragi Goldstein, F91.
Pesach ben Azmanim. Watching.
Look what he has. He silver foiled his hotel top over there. He's in his hotel room doing the daf. I don't know if I can read anymore. When did I start? Bekitzer, this guy, you know who he recruited? His wife's ex. He's a Zivik Sheni, and he recruited the ex. He says, you don't have to be machlokes. Who says you have to be? You get divorced and you live happily ever after. AJ Rothstein, K45. So 3, I don't know what, Hatzlachas and Chaverim in a row. P.S. Name addition, my new recruit and wife's ex is Pנחs HaKohen Turnheim. Pנחs HaKohen cannot marry his ex-wife anymore, but especially now that she's married to somebody else. So that's part of what we learned in Yevamos. Here he is, picture with his wife's ex. Yevalik stuff. Pesach Matzah Maror. First of all, I wanted to thank you. Possible thing, the shit that I look forward. My Rebbe would have sold. My Rebbe's would have sold the b'chayros if they would have known that this guy learns Torah. I want to share a little Maisa Bekitzer that he was in the Pesach program and the magid wasn't that great, but because he was watching MDY and it was a day early, he helped out the magid a lot. Givaldik Pesach Matzah Maror. So here it is, live in person share in Flatbush this Thursday night, April 28th, in Sephardic SLC congregation, Kol Eliyahu, 805 Avenue T, 9 p.m. Refreshments will be served. Everyone is welcome, especially if you're a Sephardi. Sign up at mdysium.com. Oh, and here it goes for the sponsors. The Koilo is sponsored $10,000 for this month by Anonymous, but Lzchus Shiduchim, including some of the people that I know. He said, parnasah chodesh by the Lock and Lebovic families in Lakewood, New Jersey, because Torah is the best segulah. Parnasah chodesh Nisan is sponsored by Yoli. Dishmas Daf Pנחas ben Moshe Yakov, Dishmas Rochama Puromah Bas Daf Pנחas, Dishmas Yחיאל Shragא ben Avraham Levi. Parnasah chodesh Ahron Fraiman, Lzchus, parnasah and siyata dishmaya, and continue Hatzlacha to rebelli shkoyach. Parnasah chodesh as a Zechus to Aaron's Hatzlacha and to you, the magid shiur, and the video editor of Hatzlacha in continuation, and I'm missing a shiur, the Zechus of Yitzchak ben Benimin, and Parnasah chodesh anonymously. Nishmas Chaya Bas Yosef Rabbi. Here we go. Daf Nun Aleph. So, Daf Nun Aleph is a very, very special daf because we are 50 days into Yevamos. It's unbelievable. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it's not simple. It's not a very hard Masechta. I think that, once you grasp it, we never had a case that was like, wow, I can't get it. It's too much of a cheshbon, too much of this. The wording is sometimes throws you off. I was just asking somebody, I said, what was it? It was like, Eishes Achi Aviv. It sounds very complicated. Eishes Achi Aviv. The wife of your father's brother. All it is an aunt. These are, the words throw you off. So, we're in the middle of a sugya here, but we're starting a new one. All my Rava, the last words on Daf Amud Beis. Basically, yesterday we learned machlokes if a person could give a get after a get to Yevama. We know that a Yevama midaraisa gets chalitza or gets yibum. The concept of giving a get is only midrabanan, as we explained yesterday, because of Xera, because typically a get works by a regular woman. And also maimer, which is kiddushin, fancy word called maimer, but all it means is you give money to a woman. That's one of the ways, that's how we're mekadesh our wives these days with kiddushin. It's called maimer when you do it to a yevama. Is there maimer after maimer? In other words, if you have two on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, you have one yavam who gave two yevamas a get. He gave yevama number one a get, then he gave yevama number two a get. Is it chal or not? According to Rabbi Gamliel, it's not. You can only do one get. Give it to 5-towner, that's it, you're done. You can't ruin it and give another get to the Burka lady. And in fact, if you give her another get, he says you're not usher to her kroivim. Get makes you usher to a person's kroivim, just like you're a regular wife. You give a get to your wife, you can't marry her relatives. So too by Yevama, but it doesn't work according to Rabbi Gamliel. Whether it's one Yavam giving a get to two Yevamas, or whether it's one Yevama receiving two Gitin from two Yevamim. Shimon and Levi, who are brothers, Baldwin brothers. A guy told me yesterday, he's like, I watch your shiur, I love the characters, but what's his Baldwin brothers? I had to explain to him. Baldwin means they're all bald and they're brothers. So it's easy to remember that when we have in the characters, bald guys, they're all brothers. Here you have Ruvain, he's a bald guy, he goes bye-bye. His two brothers, Shimon and Levi, both give a get. First Shimon gives a get to the 5-towner, then Levi gives a get to the 5-towner. But it's the same idea, there's no get after a get. Now, top of Nun Aleph Amud Aleph, my time of the Rabbi Gamliel says, Rava, what's the reason? The Mesapkele, and this is how we explained the Mishnah yesterday, and that's how Rashi explained the Mishnah yesterday. Although we're going to see that Abaya argues on Rava, and it seems like his pshat might be even better. My time of the Rabbi Gamliel, the Mesapkele, get idachi Eli dachi. What does a get accomplish? Does a get accomplish a complete dechia? She's no longer a Yevama, and therefore the second get is nothing? Or no, it doesn't accomplish anything. So he's in a suffix. And he's also a mesupik. Maimer, Kani, like Kani. What does a Maimer do? When you give money to Yevama, does she become yours exclusively? Or not really? Get dachi, loy dachi, the Gemara explains. Ikama dachi, if you give the get to, let's say, in the other case, one Yavam gives a get to two Yevamas that felt him. The first Yevama gets the get, bas from my kavid. Then the fact that he gave a get to the second Burka lady does 0. And if it doesn't do anything for the first 5-towner, then a get doesn't accomplish anything, then he didn't do anything. So Rabbi Gamliel doesn't know. He's mesupik. Maimer, the same thing with Maimer. I don't know if it accomplishes Kiddushin, doesn't accomplish. If he accomplished the Kiddushin with the first one, then the first one, the 5-towner, is his complete wife. And then he had no business giving the second one Maimer, and it didn't do anything. She doesn't need to get, she doesn't know, it's just 0. And if you don't accomplish anything with Kiddushin to the 5-towner, so there's nothing to do with the second one. And then Mela, ein get acher get, ein Maimer acher Maimer, memanav shach. He says, there's no reason to even think about the second get. Because either the first get is great, and then the second get is nothing, or the first get is nothing, so the second get is nothing. But the second one is always a big 0 when it comes to get and when it comes to a Maimer. That's Abaye's pshat, Rava's pshat. Says Gemara, Eisvi Abaye, but I have a big question. It says, Sheesh get acher Maimer. Okay. Gamliel says there's no get after a get, and there's no Maimer after a Maimer, but there is a get after a Maimer. They're two different things. They're two Rabbanans. One accomplishes a little bit, the other accomplishes a little bit on the other way. One breaks off the Zika a little bit, and one strengthens the Zika a little bit. One is a get, one is a Maimer. One is get, one is Kiddushin. And there's also Maimer after a get. Maimer after a get. V'get achar bia u'Maimer. What does that mean? Check this out. This I just did, get after get, okay. Maimer after Maimer. Here. Get achar bia u'Maimer. So Ruvain had 3 wives, and he went bye-bye.
What number chart are you?
5.
5 or 6?
5.
You got it from Yosef.
Oh, okay, cool. So chart number 5. I just went through a lot of charts. Whatever. Maimer acha Maimer, Maimer acha get. Fine. Should we go back?
Oh, good.
Here, there's Maimer and then get achar Maimer. That's the other case that Shimon gave a Maimer, then he gave a get, and that Rabbi Gamliel admits both grab on, and the one that got a Maimer needs a get, the one that get a get. So you have to do chalitza. You do chalitza the other one. Okay. Here's the case where there's a get which came after Yibum and Maimer. So step one, it's the same guy. Shimon is in all three cases. His brother Reuven goes bye-bye. Left Shimon with three women. And he decides to play a game here just to make Yevamos interesting. He gives one of the women that Reuven left him, the 5 town, he gives her a Maimer. Then he does Yibum with the middle one. And then he does a get to the Berka lady. So, what is this Yibum? Rabbi Yosef, if we remember what we learned yesterday, this Yibum is called the Yibum Garua. Apostle, it's not a good Yibum. It's an inferior Yibum. Why? Because he already did a Maimer to the 5-towner. So he should be doing Yibum to the 5-towner. Instead, he decided to do Yibum with another one of the wives. That's an inferior Yibum. So therefore, the get has a place to grab onto. That's why the get is a good get to the Berka lady. Typically, if you do Yibum, end of the story. I don't know if checkmate is the right word here. He accomplished what he needed to accomplish. There's a get. There's a Yibum. And it's his wife. So you can't give a get after Yibum. But over here, since the Yibum is a weak Yibum, the get has a place accomplished. Umaimer achar bia v'get. And what about this case? You have Maimer that comes after bia and a get. After Yibum, the final thing is a Maimer. It came after a get and Yibum. Once again, the Yibum is a weak Yibum, so Maimer has a place. Ask the Gemara, if you're telling me that Reb Gamliel has a suffix, what a Maimer does, what a get does, to heavy kibia de lechatchila v'tikni. Let's look at this case. You have get, Yibum, Maimer. What is a get? If a get is absolute zero, then what happened, Rabbi Yisai? He did Yibum, perfect. He's Mekayim the halacha. And if you do the halacha, could you do Maimer after the halacha? No. Maimer has no place here. If a get is good, then the Yibum doesn't work. So nothing works. Then the Maimer shouldn't need to work all the way at the end. So Mimon of Shach asks Abaya, how could Maimer catch on over here? There's no way for it to catch on. Either there's a good Yibum here, and then Maimer has no place, or there's nothing. If you tell me get is either 100% good or 100% not good, so then Maimer all the way at the end has no place at all. Why? Because if get is 100% good, then he divorces Yevama, he has no business doing Yibum, he has no business doing Maimer. So his Maimer is 0. And if get is 0, then the Yibum is 100%. And then he shouldn't have been doing Maimer. So why in the world does Reb Gamliel say that the Maimer catches on? Or the get catches on at the end? Any case you want to look at. It should be as if he did B all the way in the beginning. Dotnan, we learned, so if the Yibum is in the beginning, or anywhere in the picture, there's nothing that happens after Yibum. Nothing could happen after Yibum. So, the Gemara says, no, it's not that he has a suffix if it works. He knows for a fact that a get works perfectly well, that it pushes off Yibum. A Maimer works perfectly well, that it's kaina Yevama. Miu, Omer Abanan, Hayivama, Bechatzad Mahani Baget. I just did a picture, L'Saber Sa'izan. It's not, this is picture number 7. This is not for real, 50-50, you don't chop a Yevam in half, but just to understand it in our head, half of the Yevama, this side, call it, the get works on her, and this side, the Maimer works on her. But the get works 100% on the 50% of the Yevama. On the right side of the Yevama, the get works 100%. On the left side of the Yevama, the Maimer works 100%. In other words, you cannot give another get to the Yevama because there's no room for it. The first get already occupies the whole right side. Just l'mashal, okay? Don't come back to me. I know in Lumdus this doesn't work. It has to, every part, okay, I get it. Just to make it simple. I'm just using the words of the Gemara. Obviously the Gemara doesn't mean it. On one side, on the right side, mahani baget. And the other side is Maimer. Get acher get leidachi. Therefore, the right side only has room for one get. You can't give her another get. Daha dacha leikama, because the first one gave her a get. Umaimer acher maimer leikani, and you can't do another maimer. Daha kani leikama, because on the left side it's a full maimer. Okay, get acher maimer umaimer acher get. Therefore, a maimer works after the get because it's only on 50%. The get only worked on 50%, so there's another 50% of her that you could accomplish a maimer. Get acher maimer umaimer acher get. A woman has one yivama has room for a whole get and a whole maimer, but that's it. Not two gitin and not two mamar. V'Rabbanon kol chad v'chad takinu leRabbanon get umaimer b'Yevamos. Rabbanon said no. Every yavam has the right to give every yivama a get and a maimer. So if there are two yivamim, two brothers, and one yivama, each one can give a full maimer. If there's two yivamas, they accept. Each one could accept from the yavam a maimer. There is a maimer after a maimer. There is a get after a get. It's not true what Rabbi Gamliel is saying. It's not 50-50. You don't divide it like that. Each yavam has the ability to give one maimer to one woman. So if there's two women, he could give two maimerim. If there's two yivamim, they could each one give a maimer. So there's a maimer after a maimer. They argue on Rabbi Gamliel. Says the Gemara, "V'hai bi psula." Now, if you go back to this case where first there was a get, chart number 6. There was a get, then a yibum, and then a maimer. So what is that yibum called? It's a bia psula. He shouldn't have been miyabim her because there was already a maimer on a different woman. Yet, you should know, on the one hand, that difa maimer, that is better. That yibum puzzle is better than a maimer. Ugriyam a maimer. It's better than a maimer and worse than a maimer. Adifim a maimer, dilu maimer, acha maimer, loy mahani. You can't do two maimers one after another. Yet over here, in this case, do I have a chart? Yeah, here. If first he did maimer and then yibum, the yibum is chal, it catches. But if in step 2, if he gave woman number 2 in chart 5, if there was first a maimer and then another maimer, it wouldn't work. So what do you see? That yibum is more powerful in this case than the maimer because there's no maimer after a maimer. But there is yibum after a maimer. That's on the one hand. You see that for the second woman, the yibum is chal. But on the flip side, yibum is worse than maimer. Like in this case, we said if a guy gives a maimer on half of the woman and a get on the other half, he's able to be kinder in a way. And if you do yibum after the get, then okay, so on the one hand, maimer is stronger, on the other hand, the yibum is stronger. What is the case when Gamliel said ain't get acher get? What's the case? Two Yevamas fell to one Yavam. Here we have over here chart number 8. It might be if it looks what's the word? If it looks familiar, it's because it is familiar. We had it all the way in the beginning of this year. If one Yavam, Reuven goes bye-bye, 2 Yevamas fall to one guy named Shimon in the center. He decides to give a get first to the one on the right, to the 5-towner, then he gives a get to the one on the left, the burger lady. That's the case. If it doesn't get Lzchus, get Lzchus. Now, let's just pause here for a second. What does it mean, chaylas l'rishayna? Who could he give a get to? Rabbi Isai, who could he give a get to? He could actually give a get to either one. So why does Rabbi Gamliel say chaylas l'rishayna? Because Rabbi Gamliel is saying it's better to give to the first one. Why? Because even though the Zika, Rashi explains, who has a stronger connection to the Yavam? Think again. The first one got a get. The second one should not be getting a get, and the get does nothing really. So who's stronger connected to the Yavam? The second one. So if so, you should really do a chalitza to the second one who is a stronger connection. It works better. Nevertheless, when Gamliel says chalitza l'rishayna, yeah, v'asur b'krei v'seh. It's better to give to the first one and you asur to her kroivim, mutar b'krei v'shniya. The second get it wasn't even effective, mutar. And that, by the way, there's two reasons. Rashi gives a different reason, but we also learned the reason that you shouldn't spill out water that others need. So you already messed it up for Yevama number one. You gave her a get. You might as well just give her the chalitza and finish. You already usher to her. You already usher to all her krivim, and she can't get married to Kayan, whatever. So why the get to the second Berker lady doesn't even, it's not effective according to you, and get Achar Get according to Rabbi Gamliel. So why do it? That's another reason. Okay. They're both effective. There is a get after a get, and therefore you also in both of theirs relative. The chalitza lachas mem, and you only have to give chalitza to one of them. Doesn't matter now which one. The same thing would apply. Rabbi say, next picture. Here you have the same case, very similar case, but we're talking about two men and one woman. Before it was one woman and two men, one man, two women. Now it's one woman, two men. It's the same idea. It's the same idea that the two men are giving the same woman a get. Fine. Rabbi says there's no get after a get. The second get doesn't do anything. So Mela Levi, who gave the second get, is mutter in her krivim v'chulu. What's the story with Maimer Achar Maimer? These are one of these dapim that there's no stories. It's like, okay, it's technical stuff. What are you going to do? It is what it is. This is what we have today. Hopefully when we go to New York, it'll be more exciting. We'll have to invent something. Here we go. Same situation, just instead of writing a get, Maimer. Easy charts for me. You have, did I skip? Yeah, here it is. Chart 10. The same guy decided to give a Maimer to one woman, 5 towner, and then another Maimer, 2. The Berkelator, all you do is give a get to the first Maimer lady. No big deal. Now, okay, says no, there is a maimer after maimer, therefore each one requires a get, and therefore you're also in all the relatives of both women. Only one of them requires a chalitza. Same story. If 2 Yevamim gave one lady, maimer achar maimer. Omamar, nois and get lezu. If 2 Yevamas fell to one Yavam, nois and get lezu, and he gave a get to each one. Where's the case? Right over here. One guy, 2 Yevamas, he gave a get to each one. Remember, we said it doesn't mean the Rishayna, it doesn't have to be Rishayna, but it's better to Rishayna. Perhaps this case is a question on Shmuel. Shmuel, Cholatz, Lebalance Haget, if a person gives chalitza to one who got a get. Now, as we explained before, once you give a get, your bond has weakened and it's very shvach, and he gave her chalitza, lo nifter tzara. You hear? Shmuel holds, since it's a weak bond, the chalitza is weak, it's not a good enough chalitza, and the other co-wife, the burka lady, needs something, needs a chalitza. So what's the pshat? I was just saying my pshat according to the mandoma that says there's zika, and because there's a bond, So it's a shvacha bond, not a shvacha bond. So it makes sense. It's a very weak bond. The chalitza doesn't work. But that's only if there's a concept called zika. There's a bond after the brother dies and he leaves a yevama. There's a strong connection between the two. That's zika. But if you don't hold to that, Rim Gamliel Savar ain't zika. Rim Gamliel doesn't hold of zika b'chlal. Okay, so that's the shayla that we saw earlier throughout the Masechta. Yesh zika, ain't zika. Says the Gemara, and since l'chayra, the Gemara says, well, it only makes sense if there's an argument here between Rabbi Gamliel and Chachamim. So you're telling me Rabbi Gamliel holds ein zika, so l'chayra Rabbanan are going to hold yesh zika. What's the Gemara going to answer on that question? I'm going to see what the question is in a second. No, you're not forced to say the Rabbanan arguing that. They argue on what we're talking about here. And the Rebbe Gamliel Sover in Zika, returning to Daf Yomi from the base, sponsored by shiur in honor of Jolly Joe Kraus and the family, and anonymously, Lzchus Moshe Yakov ben Shoshana should have Hatzlacha ruchnis and gashmias. So Rabbanan Sabri is Zika. Rabbanan hold there is a Zika. Now the problem is Uktani Seifa. It says in the end, the same halacha applies when you have two men and one yevama. That what? That one of them does a chalitza. Now, isn't that a chalitza grua? It's not a very strong chalitza. Lema tehevi, right? The two men each. Lema tehevi tiyufta, the Rabbi Baravun Amarav. Why? The Rabbi Baravun Amarav, chalitza psula, tzricha lachzor kolachim. Yeah? So, it's very interesting. Think about it. If a person performs chalitza after two mimers of a brother, of two brothers, let's say, chalitza psula. So you have to go and get a chalitza from everybody. Think about it. Chassidish mishpacha, it's 10 brothers. One is in South Africa, one is in the Israeli army, one is here, one is there. You have to run around the world. Get a chalitza from this guy, from this shaygetz, from that guy, the Talmud Chacham, it's crazy. Okay, fine. Just wrap your head around that for a second. It's cool. So, okay. But over here it says one chalitza is good enough. No. You made a mistake. You came with this assumption that if Rabbi Gamliel and Chacham are arguing over here, there must be arguing on all the points. Since Rabbi Gamliel says Ein Zika, so Chacham have to say Yesh Zika. Not true. Everybody is going to hold. You're not forced. The Gemara says everybody could hold Ein Zika. It's just a simple machlokes, nothing to do with Zika and Ein Zika. Is there, like we understood the whole sugya until now? Could you do? Does mimer after a mimer accomplish anything? Does a get after a first get accomplish anything? Chacham say yes. Rabbi Gamliel says no. Nothing to do with Yesh Zika and Ein Zika. Amar. If there was two mimers going on here, one yavam gave each yavam a mimer. Should I even look for this? Here, yeah, okay, I got it. I think it's chart 10. One yavam gives mimer to two yavamas. What does Gamliel say? First, you give a get to the first one because she's the original mimer lady. She has kiddushin. For that kiddushin, you have to do what? What's the antidote to mimer? A get. Either marry her or give her a get to knock out the kiddushin. But she's not free to go to the world because she's still a yavama. So for that, you have to do chalitza. Now, since you gave her a get, according to Gamliel, what happened to the Berkeley lady is a big zero, so you're allowed to marry her relatives. You never divorced her, you never gave her a mimer. You don't have to give her a divorce. Says Gemara, listen to this bomb question. It's a bomb question. You hold that there's no mimer after mimer. So if I gave mimer to Five Town lady, and then I gave mimer to my second Yevama called Berkeley lady, it's a big zero. Okay. So it's a big zero. Why do I have to give chalitza to the first one? What should you do? Be miyabim her. Why are you forced to give chalitza? You're forced to give chalitza in a bad situation. You're in a jam. You don't know what to do. You gave mimer to this one, mimer to this one. I can't marry both of them, so just give chalitza to one of them. But if the maimer of the second one is a 0, mamash is 0, I'm mutter to marry any one of her relatives, she's not connected to me at all, and my first maimer is the bomb, so let me marry her. Let him be miyabim, the first one. Why are you forcing him to do chalitza to the first one? Says the Gemara, if you tell me that he could bring her home and miyabim her, marry her, he might do so to the second one. He's not going to differentiate. Hey, I gave maimer to both my wives. No, only chalitza. Listen to this. The Gemara likes to do this. There's a style in Gemara. I want to tell you a few tricks here for the rest of Shas. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Gamliel, Ubei Shammai, Rabbi Shimon ben Azai, Rabbi Nechemia, Kulu, Svirlu, Maimer, Koina, Kinyan, Gomur. All of these mandamrim, Rabbi Gamliel, Bei Shammai, Rabbi Shimon, Ben Azai, Rabbi Nechemia, 5, they all hold what? The Maimer is Koina, Kinyan, Gomur. Says Rashi inside, Kinyan, Gomur, like Gomur Mamish, Ela Kinyan Chashuv. Don't ever think that Maimer, which is a Derabanan, could literally acquire a wife 100%. No. It's very strong, chashuv, but not perfect. It's not 100%. Chashuv, it's 60%, 70%. Okay, in the yeshivas, they'll be down exactly what chashuv means. It's not in a percentage, it's strong. But I want to tell you this. Remember this for the rest of the Shas, because I might not remember this next time. And it happens a lot when the Gemara says, all these 5 Amoraim, Tanoim, or a mixture of Amoraim and Tanoim, they all hold the same thing. So first of all, Taisus points out over here that they don't all hold the same exact thing, and there's a lot of variations, and they're similar. They talk about Maimer in a way, and they don't really talk about Maimer sometimes. They're talking about another thing, and we extrapolate, fine. But it's not 100% that they hold the same exact shita. They're within the same framework or whatever, but not the same exact. But another bomb thing that you need to know, and this is the Rif. The Rif says that whenever the Gemara does this and brings 3, 4, 5 shitas, that all these, they hold the same thing, that means the Allah is not like them. The Allah is not like them. Now, so remember that. But I want to point something out very interesting. I found one place, and I didn't look like carefully. If you look at every single Amud in this Masechta, there's always the Ein Mishpat on the side, and look at Nun Beis Amud Aleph. Tons of halachas. On the left side of the page, top left, the Shulchan Aruch says this, the Shulchan Aruch says this. Every daf, because Gemara we base halacha on the Gemara. So look at our Amud. Nun Aleph Amud Beis. Not a single halacha here. Stop, I just wanted to point it out. Because we don't paskin, the Rif is right. We're not paskin like any of these Manda Amrim. Almost every single daf in the Masechta I found, I think daf Kuf Aleph doesn't have. I didn't look, I literally went flying through it. But every daf has mamish, every daf. Fine. It's very rare to find an amud that doesn't have a halacha that you're getting out of it. Our amud is one of those. Anyway, so what are the cases? So the Gemara does this all the time. We have 5 shitas, and then we're going to go through 5 interesting cases to show that they all hold that what? Maimer is very powerful. It's not 100%, but it's very powerful. We just said, Ein Maimer Achar Maimer, according to Rim Gamliel. In other words, once you do one Maimer, it grabs a lot. Nothing else after that. You don't do another Maimer after that. So he shows that it's a kind of kinning chashuv. Fine. Bishamai Disnan, Shloisha Achim, and I have a chart for this. Chart number 12. You have 3 brothers. 2 of the 3 brothers are married. 2 of the brothers, Reuven and Yehuda, are married to Rachel and Leah, the Yerushalmi ladies. They have 2 smartphones in their head. One is kosher, one is not. It's not far from the truth. In Eretz Yisrael, you see a lot of women that have tichels. They use it as a head thing, like it holds their phone. But it's very common for people to have 2 phones in Eretz Yisrael because you can't have children. They won't accept your kids in cheder if you have a smartphone in Israel. A lot of chadarim you can't. So what they do is they need a smartphone, but they don't tell the cheder, and they have this other phone. Also, if you give somebody a phone number, they know right away if it's a kosher phone or not kosher phone in Israel, based on the number. It's a different type of number. So, anyways, that's why I put these two phones there, just to play a little shtick there. Okay. So we have shleisha achim, shnei mem nesum shnei achos. 2 out of the 3 brothers are married to 2 sisters. Vechol mufna, the guy Shimon in the center, he's not married to anybody. Now, Ruvain goes bye-bye. So now what happens? Rachel falls to Yibum, to Shimon. What should he do? He should be miyabamer. But he does what we do today. We do kiddushin first. Why? We're going to see it's not appropriate. It's not a nice thing to go be miyabim somebody. You go, you do. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. He goes ahead and nice. Here, I read Mekudashas. Here's a nice ring, and then Yibum. So he did Maimer, but he didn't do Yibum yet, just Maimer. Now, what happens? Is she his wife or not his wife? Maimer is only Rabbana. But listen what happens. The story continues. Yehuda goes bye-bye. It's fair game over here. People ask me, bye-bye. This Yehuda happens to be my son, right? I don't know, there's no problem. It's Torah now. He goes bye-bye. Still smoking, he's bye-bye. Fine. So now what happens to Leah? Yehuda's wife, Leah. What do we do with her? She should be falling li'ibum to who? To Shimon. But she can't because her sister, it's a chaysisha. So then both of them should be aser. Right? So that's the machlokes here. Rishami say, no. The maimer is so powerful. What Shimon did to Rachel with the maimer, he made her his wife. By the time the second one, Leah, fell to him, she gets bounced out of there. It's not like he's married to 2 women. The second one tries to come in and sees, hey, no, the available Yevamos is already married to a sister. She doesn't even fall at all. That's only if you hold that maimer is a massive kinyan. It's a kinyan chashuv. So you see, Bishame hold like that. Reb Shimon, what's Reb Shimon? The Sanya. Reb Shimon chachamim in bias rishon bia sheni in a bia. So here's another story. You have 2 little guys. I really should rename Yisachar Naphtali, because he reminds me of a famous Naphtali guy with a little tiny yarmulke. What? Yeah, that Naphtali. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. When you see the picture, you'll see. He looks like, I don't know, his face reminds me of him a little bit. So you have 2 brothers, Yisachar and Zvulun. Naphtali and Zvulun, call it whatever you want. They're both under bar mitzvah, above the age of 9. Yisachar, you typically, when it comes to Yibum, a 9-year-old's bia is counted. So Yisachar is miyabim. Then goes ahead Zvulun, and he's miyabim also. So what happened there? Now, it only has the effect, the Gemara says, like a maimer. His bia is as strong as an adult's maimer. He did something, now that she has to wait until he becomes a gadol. Says Reb Shimon, in bias rishon, bia sheni in a bia. It's nothing. Now I want to tell you, Gishmak Akasha that Rashi asks. What do you mean it's nothing? She was mizana. She had a relationship with another man, with another kid. Isn't that znus? Now, if she's mizana, she should be usher to the first one. How could she ever go back? Like a regulation sish, had a relationship with another guy? Says Rashi, an amazing chiddush. He says, no, the only time a woman becomes usher to her original husband is when he's mekana her. Kinuin stira. When he tells her, do not go and be with that guy. He didn't do that. So it doesn't matter. Even though there's Eidim, that there were Misyachid, that doesn't make her usher, says Rashi. Says Taisvis, you gotta see this Taisvis. Taisvis dibber maskeli bias rishon bia. Voimeri, like 8 lines down. Shuto soifer, I love this lashon. V'lei pirsha Rashi me'olam. It's impossible that Rashi said this. It's impossible. A woman becomes usher to her husband if there's Eidim, I don't care, if there's Kina and Stira, doesn't matter. You become usher. So says Taisus, what happened was b'shaygig. Little Yisachar, Zvul thought he's doing a mitzvah. So he's miyabemer. But not, if it was bedafka, then they would both be aser on her. Okay, fine, that's a side thing. Says the Gemara, and if the first one is not counted because he's a katan, he's a 9-year-old, nothing. You see, we count the bia, the yibum of a 9-year-old. As strong as the Rabbanon Kiddushin, nothing stronger than that. So the fact that the first one was miyabim and did a mimer, so to speak, is strong enough to knock off the second guy. So what do you see? Mimer is very strong. Ben Azai, what's he? The Sanya, Ben Azai Omer, Yesh Mimer Acha Mimer, B'shnei Yevamim Yevam Achas. Our famous case, I don't know where it is, I don't know if we have it. No. Here. Yesh Mimer Acha Mimer, B'shnei Yevamim, not this case. This case. 2 Yevamim, chart number 11. Shimon and Levi are Yevamim, and they gave a mimer one after another to one Yevama. Vei Mimer Acha Mimer, B'shnei Yevamos. And there's no mimer when it's Shimon doing the mimer to 2 Yevamos. Ba'akopanim, you see, there is a mimer. The mimer is so strong in one case that it knocks off the other one. Reb Nechemia. And what's Reb Nechemia? Finally, this nan. Reb Nechemia oimer, achas bilo v'achas chalitza, bein betchila, bein be'emtza, bein b'soif. If the yibum is in the middle, you have Reuven goes by, leaves 3 women. We had the case before. He leaves the 5-towner and the frumer and the burka, and he does a mimer and then a yibum and a get. So he says, Reb Nechemia, now our Mishnah says, it doesn't matter where the yibum is placed. Over here it's placed in the second, for the second woman. After yibum, achas bi'ilo v'achas chalitza, bein betchilo, bein be'emtza, bein b'soif. If you put the yibum in the middle, ein acharei klum. Wherever the yibum is, there's nothing afterwards. Says the Gemara, v'abia psula. This yibum that comes after a mimer, what is that called? A pasal bia. It's a yibum that's pasal. The kamimer shaviur rabbanan, and Chacham said that it's equal to a mimer uktani ein acharei klum. After that, you can't do anything. Once you do yibum, there's nothing. So memela, you see that mimer is very strong. Have a wonderful day. Tell your chaverim about New York. Send them there. I don't care if there's 1,000 people, 2,000. Everybody should show up.